Okay, so I wanted to talk this morning, both to this class and to the folks who are watching this later on, a little bit about the marking and leveling system. So when you receive feedback from me, or presumably any other teacher through D2L, usually there is a specific way that they will give it back. The way many people are most familiar with this is as a percentage. So you get a percentage back. It says, I got 90% or 80% or 70% or 60%, maybe 50%. And many people are used to kind of putting together how they did based on those percentages. In Ontario, we use a different system called the level system, the leveling system. They call them achievement levels. And what's interesting about achievement levels is they can be converted into percents. So for example, a level 3 is a 75. A level 3 is a 75. A level 1 is usually considered to be a 55%. So they can be converted into percents. But really, the only time that we do that, truthfully, is for report card and when I put it into the marking software. This system was designed to really do one thing. It was supposed to help students with their achievement, supposed to help them to do better, guide them in improving their work. So with that in mind, I want to explain a little bit about what each of the levels means and what they mean for you and how you can use the levels to improve your work. The first thing to know about levels is that they are not designed to give worth to your assignment or to you. So a student who gets a level 4 is no better of a person than a student who gets a level R. They are the same person. What it's designed to do is point us to how to improve the work. So if you're looking for validation from the marking system, don't look for validation from the marking system. It's simply a reflection of your current level of achievement, and exactly that. It's not a reflection of where you'll go. It's not usually a reflection of where you've been. It's where you are right now. And so you have two choices when you see where you are right now. You can panic and run away, or find out what you can do to go where you want to be, which everybody wants to have a high level of achievement, but it usually takes work to get there. Always takes work to get there. So the first level you want to consider is not level 1, it's not level 4. The first level to be thinking about is level 3. Level 3 is what is called the provincial standard. And what it means is that the student who receives level 3 has met the requirements for the task. They have met the requirements for the task. So for example, if we're doing an information paragraph, a student who writes a paragraph that has an intro sentence and a concluding sentence and supporting points in the middle, that student has met the standard. They have met the standard, they are level 3. Now, if the same student takes that same paper and instead of just writing a basic intro sentence and a basic concluding sentence, maybe they added a bit more detail. And the sentence was maybe a 2-part sentence, and the concluding sentence wasn't just a mirror of the intro sentence, but it actually built on what was talked about in the information paragraph. That student is now making their way into level 4. They have exceeded the basic requirements for the assignment, and they're really heading towards what we call a higher level. So provincial standard, level 3, means they've met the requirements. It means that you've met the requirements. A level 4 means you have exceeded the requirements. It's really quite spot on, beyond what is required for the course. A level 2 is below a level 3, and it indicates that there were some areas of concern. So, for example, you might find that you got a level 2, and we'll talk about these in a moment. You might have got a level 2 in application. Well, that probably means maybe you had some punctuation that was out of place, or maybe there were some spelling errors throughout, and maybe not too many, but there were enough. And so that ends up being a level 2. A level 3 can have spelling errors too, or punctuation errors, but there's not very many of them. They're few. A level 4 will basically have no errors, basically none. It'll be perfect. So a level 2's got some errors that need to be corrected in order to be able to move up to the level 3. The level 1 is going to have more errors. They're more common. There's a limited demonstration of the capability. A level R, there's a thing that level R stands for, but what I usually say, a level R for me stands for redo. Means there was something really, really off on the assignment that needs to be corrected to help it move up the scale. And I'm happy to take work from students a second time or even a third time because I want students to get it right. I don't want students just getting an R and then moving it to a level 1 and carrying on. My goal is for every student in the class to be writing at a level 3 level. That's my goal. And it is possible, but for some it will take time. For some, it will take longer than others, and that's okay. Eventually, if you keep working at it, it is possible for every learner, we believe, to get to the level 3. And then once you're to the level 3, it's sometimes simply a matter of adding some more details or having a little bit of extra attention to detail that brings it to that level 4. I often find that moving from a level 1 or a level 2 to a level 3 can be a little bit difficult, a little bit painful. Whereas that move from the level 3 to the level 4 is actually not quite as far, believe it or not. It's simply a little bit extra in terms of the details. So the levels also have minuses and pluses when I'm marking. So you could see a level 2 plus. And what that means is it was a level 2, but it was close. It was getting really close to provincial standard. So it's my way of letting you know that you're on the right track. So if you're seeing a level 2 plus, look at what those errors are and say to yourself, okay, if I pay attention to these errors and I don't make these errors again, I'm probably on my way to a level 3. And I've seen this before. Students who get level 2s at the start of the course, by the end of the course, they are putting out level 3s and sometimes even level 4s. Because if they take that feedback that I write in, because I don't just give a level, usually I'm going to write in the reason for the level. Often, if you apply that feedback, you'll find that your level will go up naturally as a result. So we have pluses and minuses. So if it was a 2 minus, it would mean it's in the level 2 category, but it was reaching to get there. It was having a little bit of a struggle, but it was a level 2. But there's just still some things to get not perfect, but to get a little bit stronger at if you want to be a solid level 2 or start moving to that level 3. And again, if you see an R, it's usually my recommendation that that assignment gets redone because a level R is classified as a 40%, which is not a pass. So if you're constantly getting R's on every assignment, it means you're not passing, probably not passing the course at the moment. You can come and ask me for your specific mark if you want to see it, but if you're seeing level R's, I usually say, let's redo that assignment. Let's ask the questions that need to be asked. I will help you to get it to where it needs to be so that you can achieve the higher level. I don't want students sitting down here because if you're getting a level R on an assignment, but you still pass the course, so let's say you get a level R on one assignment, and then later on you're doing okay. You should still go back and redo that assignment because at that time, you didn't meet the expectations for that piece. So then when you go into the grade 11 course or the grade 12 course, and you encounter that same topic again, now at a higher level, it's going to be rough. Whereas if you stop now and make the corrections now, when you see it again the second time, you may still struggle with it, but at least you've got the tools to be successful. Okay? So those are the levels. Second piece is the categories. Knowledge, so you might see on a piece of paper, K-I-C-A. Sometimes people call it KICA. But what it is it's breaking down that mark. So these categories, K for knowledge, I for thinking and inquiry, C for communication, A for application, are how the course is broken up. Many assignments use all 4 categories. Some assignments only use one of the categories. And so what happens is each of these, for the Ontario Literacy Credit, for example, is worth 25%. So a student could be level 4 knowledge, level 4 thinking, level 4 communication, level R application because when they were writing it, they had frequent errors, and they still passed the assignment. But when you see it broke down like that, if I'm getting 4s in all of these, but I'm getting an R in my application, I need to focus on what those errors were and correct them. So it wasn't my thinking that had a problem. My ideas were great. I was really on point. My knowledge, I knew how to assemble what I was assembling. My communication, I was clear in what I was saying, but when I tried to apply what I had learned, it didn't turn out the way that it needed to. You would very rarely see just one category have a problem like that, but it is possible. So the categories, when you see it broke down, are pointing us to our areas of improvement. So again, knowledge is usually based on what you know. So let's say the assignment was to create an information paragraph. An information paragraph, knowledge category. So what I'm looking for in the knowledge category would be very simple. Is it a paragraph? So for example, if it's more than one paragraph, it has not met the expectations for the assignment. So for an information paragraph, is it one paragraph? Does it have an intro sentence? Does it have a concluding sentence? And are those sentences, the intro and conclusion, connected together based on an idea? If the answer is yes, probably going to be looking at a pretty high knowledge mark, right? For thinking and inquiry, we're really looking at kind of the ideas. So did the content of what you wrote for a language course, was the content interesting and connected to each other? Or was it a series of disconnected, disjointed, unrelated sentences? If the ideas are connected together and coming together to create a larger idea, you're probably looking at a very strong level for thinking and inquiry. If each sentence is about a different idea and the ideas are not connected or the ideas are random. So for example, if I'm writing an essay about how much I don't like winter, I don't like the season of winter, and then partway through the essay, I start talking about exciting new movies that are coming out next spring, it's not connected. So the thinking and inquiry level wouldn't really be there. It's not simply enough to write, but we want to be able to write in a way that shows thinking, shows our ideas. For communication, we're talking about exactly that. So how do you take your ideas and communicate them in a way that makes sense? So are you developing those ideas? Are you explaining what you mean in a clear way? Are you providing examples? Are you explaining why? Are you correctly, identifying things in a clear, concise way that actually builds on what you're talking about? And then lastly, application, which is how does it all kind of come together? So for application, the way to think of the application is the doing part. So a high application mark, usually punctuation in the right place. The correct words are used, so no word choice errors, although that overlaps into communication a little bit. Does it make use fully of the structures in a good way? So for example, you could have a high knowledge mark because you had your intro sentence and concluding sentence and your body paragraphs, but when you did your intro sentence, it was too short and didn't have the proper punctuation to make it clear that was your intro sentence. Well, you knew what it was, you had good knowledge, but when it came to applying that knowledge, there may have been a problem. So for application, we're kind of looking at the details of actually putting everything into use. So how do you know how I'm marking it? The way you'll know is through usually a rubric. There's usually a rubric. So this is a rubric, and it's a grid. It has knowledge, thinking and inquiry, communication, and application. Many of the assignments we do in these courses have rubrics. And across the top, you might see level 1, 2, 3, 4, or you might see some percentages. And then in each of these boxes, it will have an explanation of what you need to do to get that level. So for example, it might say knowledge. Student demonstrates excellent knowledge of the form of a paragraph. Next one would be student demonstrates good knowledge of the form of a paragraph. Student demonstrates some knowledge of form of a paragraph. Student demonstrates limited knowledge of form of a paragraph. So with each one, the way we describe it changes a little bit, right? It changes a little bit. And so you'd be able to take the KICA levels you got, go back into the assignment sheet and match it to a rubric, or sometimes I will even include, and when I mark it, I will paste a copy of the rubric into it, and I will bold certain things, or make certain comments, or add an audio comment or a written comment that makes it a little bit more clear. So this is kind of how you can use the levels to figure out what it is you need to be working on. Recognize that if you're achieving a level 3, you're on point, but there's still some more that you can do to expand. If you're at a level 2 or a level 1, be paying very special attention to the written feedback. Find out what those errors are, and if you're not sure what they are, ask me. Because if I'm circling something today, I'm going to circle it tomorrow. And the grade 11 teacher will circle it as well. So you can stop it today, find out what it is and how to avoid it, right? And sometimes you can search for it, right? So if you see a W/C, maybe it's a word choice error. So it means I maybe used the wrong word. So you might ask your elbow partner, hey, does this word mean what I think it means? What does this word mean to you? And they might say something totally different than what you thought it meant. Likewise with punctuation, if I'm inserting commas into your work, ask yourself the question, why did he put that comma there? Why did he put that there? They're not random. They're not random. Some people look, oh, I always miss commas. No, you missed that comma, perhaps because you didn't know that it should go there. So why should it go there? You have to figure out. So part of that might be going back to an earlier lesson where we talk about the parts of a sentence, beginning parts, intro parts, beginning parts, main ideas, add-on parts, separated by commas. What's going on? Was this a main part? Where's the main part of my sentence? Where's the add-on part? Oh, he put the comma between them. I can see that now. And then when you're editing, you can look for that. You can look for that when you're editing. So hopefully that is a little bit helpful. Does anyone have any questions? For those watching online, there was a real class in here. They were very polite. Either what I was saying was very interesting, or it wasn't, and people were just being polite. Okay. Any questions about levels? Because people might ask the question later. Don't be shy. Yes? Did it go? Yes? No?
So if you put in the rubric like 2, 2, 3, 3, that's basically a 3, or it's gonna be a 2 plus, or.
So if I go 2, 2, 3, 3, so this can be calculated into an actual mark, because for the Ontario Literacy Credit, each of these is worth 25%. So the way you could get the mark is figure out what the percentage was for each of these, which I can give to you. I can post that up as well. And then multiply it by 25% and then add them all together and you'd have the mark. However, I caution against that a little bit, because in the final assessment for the course, all the communication marks get lumped together. All the application marks get lumped together. And sometimes there's more, there might be, for example, in the business course, application is the largest mark, because most of the business course is doing and building things on the computer. So what happens is they're worth more, and there's more of them, and there might be less communication assessments. So each of those individual communication assessments becomes worth more, even though they're broken up into separate assignments. So it can be done, but really what you would want to do is say, wow, I always say, look at what you're good at first. I was communicating pretty clearly. I hit the provincial standard for communication, level 3. On application, so the doing of it, I had a level 3, so I was pretty good. My commas and periods are probably in the right spot. The way I've structured it is fairly solid. This is good. So what's going on? Level 2 knowledge, level 2 thinking and inquiry. So maybe I need to find ways to connect my ideas together more clearly. And for knowledge, maybe I need to demonstrate more clearly my understanding of that topic. I wonder how I could do that. So always ask yourself a question, because if you're just getting the mark back and saying, ugh, a terrible mark, I don't like it, right? No. Marks are neither good nor bad. Someone said to me the other day, they said, is this a good mark? The mark is neither good nor bad. The mark is a tool that we use to see what our next step is going to be. Another myth out there is that teachers give marks as if I'm distributing Christmas presents to people, right? I'm giving marks. No, I don't give marks. I assess the work as it is, and I show what the achievement level is for that piece of work right now. So I'm not giving it, because that implies that I'm giving a gift. And then if I'm giving gifts that are level 1s, then people think, oh, it's not a very good gift. He must not like me very much. And it's not the case, right? It's an assessment of that particular assignment. Okay. A student said to me the other day, they said, we want to buy you a new pen because your pen must be very heavy based on how you've been marking the assignments. You can buy me a new pen if you want, but at the end of the day, I use these rubrics, I use the categories, and I use the levels, and I use that to show on the assignment where the areas of improvement are. So the lightness or heaviness of my pen has nothing to do with it, unfortunately. Okay? Yes?
If you provide examples and why, for example, you can get 2 minus in communication.
So if you're providing examples and you're answering the question why, but still getting a low mark in thinking and inquiry and communication. So what that might be is that they were great ideas, they were good examples, but the way they were communicated was unclear. So what you'll want to do is look for the marks on the page that might indicate that there was something that was unclear. So for example, a sentence that only has a subject and an adjective. So good dog. Good dog is not a sentence. The good dog walked down the street. That's a full sentence. So what it can sometimes be is, so that first student, good dog. Well, that's a level R for our grade level, a level R sentence, because it's not communicating really, it's just creating a picture of a good dog. The good dog walked. Okay, well, we're getting there. Well, where did he walk to? The good dog walked to the store. Okay, we're heading up in level. We're heading across the rubric. Okay? And then I'll turn the thing off so you can ask all the real questions. Nobody wants to be on the recording, which is okay. You don't have to be. Any last questions? No? Okay. Well, hopefully that was helpful to everyone involved.
Thank you.